During our Farm Basics time each week, we'll take a topic that we commonly discuss on the farm and try to explain it to non-farmers. So if you are a non-farmer, you will understand what we mean by crop rotation. That's this week's topic.
When you drive by fields out in the country, you may notice, wow, that field was corn last year. This year, it's soybeans. Why are farmers doing different things? Well, there are a lot of reasons why farmers like to rotate which crop they plant in a particular field.
Yeah, so crop rotation is simply, we planted one crop last time, we're going to plant a different crop this time. The main reasons why farmers will do this include fertility, weeds, insects, and diseases, but there can be some other reasons too. So we want to kind of talk through some of those today.
Okay, one thing you need to understand too, when we talk about crops like corn, soybeans, and wheat, which are on a huge number of acres across the country, those are all annual crops. That means they're only going to grow 1 year in the field. So when you plant corn, it's got a 1 year life cycle, and now next year you've got to make a decision again about what you're going to plant. There are, however, some crops like alfalfa, for example, or even pastures that have perennial plants out in the field. And when a farmer puts alfalfa in, for example, he's planning on leaving it in that field for 3 to 5 years because it's a perennial plant.
Okay, here's the next thing. When we talk about corn and wheat, those are what we call grass crops or monocot plants. Then there are the other broadleaf crops like soybeans or sunflowers, and those are dicot plants. A lot of times when we're trying to stop diseases or insects, maybe even weeds, it's important to go from a monocot plant to a dicot plant and then back. So that's the type of rotation that most farmers will prefer across the United States.
In soybeans, one of the worst disease problems you can get is something called sclerotinia white mold. It impacts soybeans and a number of other broadleaf crops like sunflowers and edible beans, but it doesn't impact corn at all. So if you rotate corn into that field, you don't have to worry about white mold anymore. And if there's some white mold pressure out in that field, it has no home, no host crop to find. The same thing is true in corn. There's diseases like Gauss's wilt. It's a bacterial disease that can impact corn and some other grasses, but it doesn't have any impact at all on a soybean crop. So you can plant soybeans in fields that have lots of Gauss's wilt pressure and never have a problem.
So some of these diseases can last in the soil for several years. So if, let's say, we have a bad sclerotinia white mold field, we might just plant corn or wheat there for 5 years in a row, and then we go back to soybeans and the disease is gone and we can raise great soybeans again. And it's the same thing with the Gauss's wilt example. Okay, maybe we want to go raise some broadleaf crops for a few years. We come back, Gauss's wilt is gone. So that's just a good example of how we can use crop rotation as what we call a cultural practice rather than having to spray a fungicide out there, or like in the case of Gauss's wilt, there's no bactericide that will even control it. So this cultural practice of crop rotation is absolutely the way to go.
One last thing to think about is simply in a risk management standpoint of a farmer, which crop's going to be the best this year? Are you going to have a year, the kind of weather that really favors corn, or a year that really favors soybeans, or a year that favors wheat? Well, we don't know, and also we don't know what the market prices are going to be either. Maybe there's a lot of demand for corn this year. Well, it would have been a great year to raise corn. Farmers don't know what's going to happen, so a lot of farmers like to diversify their risk in their operation by planting their acres to a number of different crops. Then the other thing is simply timing and getting all the work done. Well, oftentimes corn harvest happens during a certain time of year, soybean harvest happens during another time of year, wheat harvest happens during another time of year. They can spread out the timing of their operations and keep busy all year long.
So there are a lot of reasons why crop rotation is very important on most farms, as is weed control. We'll talk about our Weed of the Week coming up later in the show.